we go. I'm also going to attempt to live stream this on Facebook, so we'll see how that'll go. But yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Just going to quickly do the Facebook thing. Share to a page image, okay. So yeah, basically how it's going to go is each muralist has 6 minutes to talk about and visually present their work. After that, I ruthlessly have to cut everyone off, like right at the 6-minute mark. So just, you know, in keeping with the nature of the conversation, lightning talks with community creators. And then after everyone's finished presenting, there will be a Q&A period for the audience. So I'm just going to title the event on Facebook quickly. I'm sorry that I couldn't take care of this sooner, but it can only happen as the event is going live on Zoom.
Live.
I think it's happening soon. Let's see if anyone else has joined the meeting in the meantime. No, it looks like that's everybody for now.
So is this live on the Art Gallery of Windsor Facebook? Is that what it is?
Yes, Facebook is moving incredibly slowly right now, but that is what should be going on, ideally, if we don't run into any technical problems here. If not, we can always post it to our Facebook later and to our Zoom. Oh yeah, I'm seeing it right now. It's live on Facebook, so people might even join in the comments section.
Perfect.
All right, it all worked out. Nice. Okay, so it is being recorded as well. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Just to start off, I am going to read our land acknowledgement before we begin. And yeah, if anyone has any questions before we get into the meeting, any quick questions after I read the acknowledgement, please go ahead and ask, and then we'll proceed. Okay, so our land acknowledgement goes like this. While this conversation and recording is happening digitally, today I want to acknowledge that I am physically situated on Anishinaabe territory, the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi. Today, the Anishinaabe of the Three Fires Confederacy are represented by Walpole Island First Nation. We want to state our respect of the historical and ongoing authority of Walpole Island First Nation over its territory. All right, does anyone have any quick technical questions or anything before we begin?
You kind of go in and out just a bit on my end.
Oh, you mean in terms of like glitching?
Lagging, kind of lags a little bit. And then
Lagging.
I have to catch up to it.
Okay. Not much we can do about that at the moment, unfortunately, but we'll just roll with the punches.
Okay.
All right. So without further ado, Briana, your 6 minutes begins now.
Okay. Do I have any questions, or shall I just talk about my art? I started when I was 9 years old.
Yep, you go right ahead.
Okay, so I started when I was 9 years old. I took a liking to art. I used to draw little tiny stickers in my bedroom. I'd close the door and listen to my tunes, my music, and I would just be in my own dwelling. And then I started to mimic the stickers, and they looked almost exactly the same. So I said, oh my God, I have like a hidden talent. And then I enjoyed doing it so often that I would go to the dollar store and buy the dollar store canvases, the little small ones, and I would start painting on them when I was young. And then after that, as I got older, I went to like organizations, like community centers, to try to find art groups. And I had a hard time trying to find some art groups with enough people in them. So I ended up going to the University of Windsor to study for my Bachelor of Fine Arts. That went really nice and really well. I learned how to do a large body of work, and I learned how to mimic, blow things up and make proportions. So that was really cool. I developed my artistic eye during that time period too. So that was a lot of fun. And here I am. Since then, I did about 12 indoor-outdoor murals in the city of Windsor. That alone is very challenging. process. You have to know what you're doing and put a lot of hard work into it. And boy, does it ever pay off in the end. It's really rewarding. You get to meet a lot of fun people along the way and have good relationships and friendships. There's nothing more that I can say about that alone. Like, the people is what makes it happen. The community, the city, the people that are in the community and the city. Wow, does it ever change? It changes everything drastically, in a good way. It allows growth to happen, in the city with the people. And that's what I've noticed so far, from being a muralist, is like all the generosity and the people. It says your internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, so like I said, I was doing murals. I started working with aerosol when I was about 13 years old, though. I bought a couple cans and started tampering around with it. And I went as the name AthenA, which is my middle name. So AthenA stands for my Greek goddess of wisdom. So I did that, and it really was fitting. It was a part of me, so I stuck with it. And that's what my name is for my murals, is AthenA. And it's also my middle name too, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so do you have any questions for me so far? I can give you a list of things on how you can find me. You can go to on Instagram at athenadesign.art, and you can check out some of my cool creations on there. I'm also on Fine Art America. That's my online shop. So I run through that through Illinois, Chicago. So you can find some of my artwork on there too, if you'd like to see it. If I had like a one of those sheets where you can show people your artwork, it'd be really cool, like Jeff does in the background. He's got some cool pieces up there, Jeff. Yeah, there's one in the background right here. It's called Heartless, one of my paintings in the back. I'm in my room right now. And I'm so happy to have you guys come to be a part of this right now with me. It makes me very happy. And it's really great to see you guys, because of what's been happening out there. It's been tough times. And, it's great when people can come together like this, and talk about, things that interest them, and find some like-minded artists, along the way.
Briana, if you want, you can pull up the Fine Art America website or your Instagram page on the computer, and you can share your screen with us. Because there is a Q&A period later for anyone who might have questions, but I've made you a co-host, so that does enable you to share your screen with us if you have anything specific that you'd like to share with us.
Okay, I can share my one site with you if you'd like to see it. I'm pulling it up right now. Okay, so it's up, and now how do I go back to you right here? Oh, I don't know where you are. Oh, I've lost you.
Oh, we haven't lost you.
Oh, you can still see me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I can't seem to see you. Hold on.
If you come back to the Zoom call, you can click share screen along the bottom. There should be a panel if you hover along the bottom that enables you to share your screen.
Yeah, I can't find my screen back to you guys though. So just 1 second, please. I should have never left you. Now I can't find you. Where'd you go? Okay, so let me go back here. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Do you see on your taskbar on your computer, do you see the Zoom icon?
No, I'm going to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to. Find it. Okay, here I am. Sorry.
That's okay.
What a pause, eh?
That's all right. Okay, so you've got about a minute.
Let's see if we can get back in there. Okay, here I am. Oh my God, now I can see you guys. Okay, so how do I share the page with you? I don't know how to do it. What do I do?
You would
I just click on what button?
So if you hover along the bottom of this page, the Zoom page that you're on right now, some options will come up, and right in the middle, there's a big green button that says share screen.
Okay, so click that.
Yeah, and then it'll let you choose which tab you share with us. So, okay, actually, I'm gonna have to stop you now, but during the Q&A period, you can show us some of your work to make up for the, the time that was lost here. Okay, all right, well, thank you for sharing your story with us and your beginnings and everything. So now we're moving along to Kristina.
Hey there, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome.
All right, your 6 minutes starts now.
Awesome. My name is Kristina. I am a visual artist and a community arts advocate in Windsor. And I'm just trying to share my screen so I can show a little bit about what public art has done for me and my emerging art practice. So I just want to check, can everyone see what's going on over here? The screen's good? Awesome. So I want to start a little bit back in 2016. The very first art project that I got to be part of was when I was an art facilitator for Together We Flourish Youth Arts Collective. And they received grant funding to do a project called the Breaking Barriers Mural Project. We worked with youth in the city and we created 18 different individual panels that came together as a gallery wall style installation. And each youth participant was able to talk about the barriers they faced growing up and kind of explain that and illustrate that through their work. So this was a really fun project. I was still doing my undergrad at the university and I was learning what the importance of community was and what the importance of that connection could be when you kind of paired it up with art and creative activities. So this is an image of the block party that was held after the event. Over 100 people showed up. And it was a really great way to make the community more welcoming. So this was the project that made me fall in love with the idea of doing community artwork. Moving on to 2017, this was my very first mural project. I worked on it with a close personal friend and co-artist Ala El Barbary. We were just about to graduate school. We applied through the city of Windsor to create a digital mural for Windsor's 125th birthday, and we were very fortunate to be chosen to be part of it. We had only about a month to learn how to do project management, budgeting, doing mock-ups, sending in the final proofs to the printer, and we worked with Fast Signs locally, who was really great to have as a collaborative aspect to this project. And we really got our butt in gear and learned how to be an artist, how to do art projects outside of university. So this was the mock-up for the piece. And if you can see this now, I'm scrolling to the installation. So it exists right outside Art Gallery of Windsor near the bus depot. And then moving on a little bit further, more in the public art realm as opposed to specifically murals, I was asked to participate in the Windsor International Film Festival revitalization project with Ali. So I got to paint a bunch of fixtures that were kind of forgotten or overlooked or dirty. So we're talking about the stairwell that's in the photo, pipes, different ducts in the alley, and just make them a little more vibrant and turn the space into something that could be usable. So this is what I would call accessible art. It's functional art as well, something that people can see and use and interact with. And it's not really confined by a gallery space. It's something that's really in the public realm. So being part of this project was something I really loved. It inspired me to continue, and this past summer in 2020, I was able to do some picnic table murals. And before I do any project, I always try to do a digital mock-up. So that's something that I learned over the years as I've done more and more projects. I've worked with other people and organizations for collaborations. Having a plan and having things ready can really bring your vision to life. So this was for Kitchener-Waterloo for the We Are United picnic table art project. And this is the final image. So this picnic table exists somewhere out in Windsor, in Kitchener-Waterloo, sorry. And it'll be viewable in 2021 when the summer months come back out. So hopefully things get better with the pandemic and people can enjoy the outdoors a little bit more with accessible art. This then transitioned to another great project I finished up this year, the last project I want to speak to you about today, the West End Art Project. So I worked with Life After 50 and the Gordie Howe Bridge Association, their community benefits plan. They spent some money to help revitalize Sandwich Town in the West End by installing 4 public art projects. I was fortunate that one of them got to be another picnic table mural, and the imagery, it reads, "Nature is not a place to visit, it is home." And that was inspired by youth participants in the West End as well, talking about what they loved about our space and our city. And that was being the outdoors and the wildlife, and what Windsor really has to offer. So in closing, the thing I love about murals, the thing I love about public art is just the idea that these messages can be conveyed between people. You can find connection and community through these projects. And I think that's something that Windsor does really well, and Windsor should continue to do. So that's my lightning talk, and thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Christina. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so now it is David's turn. David's 6 minutes. You'll have to unmute yourself though.
There we go.
There you go. All right, and begin.
We all said, hey guys, how you doing? Just want to thank the AGW for asking me to come along. I've been doing this for a long time, and I really appreciate everybody joining this. I started about 2001 when I did my first set of murals when I was up at art school in LA called White Mountain Academy. And my first time I did 27 murals in 7 days. And they ranged everywhere from 2 feet up to 10 by 10 to 20 by 20. And I'll never forget doing that because I didn't do them for another 7 years after because I was burnt right out. But thankfully, after all that had happened, I ended up getting a job with the city of Windsor, which really got me involved, where I learned how to paint with an airbrush. And a lot of what I do is a lot of my focus is on technique. So this was actually one of the first tools I ever used for creating large scale photorealistic murals. So I'm going to share some images here, and hopefully you guys can see this. So can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this was actually my first mural I ever did. It's actually situated right downtown Windsor in Maiden Lane. So I was a big part of this one. And this actually taught me to understand things in big scale. And I got the luxury of working with Denomme and a number of other local artists on this project. And then from there, I ended up opening my own business and slowly but surely got out of the murals and then made my way back in about 2016. So almost 10 years later, I jumped back in when I was approached by Art Attack. This actually I did 2016. I actually was fortunate enough to paint it on my father's old printing company. So it was kind of one of those wonderful undertakings. And again, it was another step in another direction with another product. So I'm sure you guys have all seen these cans. A number of you I know have worked with these and frustratingly threw them out of anger because this is a whole nother process from this. So again, it's another technique. Now you're dealing with size. You have to understand scale. You have to understand how to go about putting the paint on there properly. Weather, oh my God. One of the most fun things to deal with along the way. So throughout that process, you know, sometimes we're lucky to go indoors. So another job I got through Art Attack was this one with the Windsor residents for young men. So this was an inside job, to put it frankly. It was an amazing experience too, because back to communities, this was a fun thing to work with the boys, to come up with an idea, to kind of represent what they were all about. So a lot of my stuff outside of technique is also working with clients in different ways. Some things I get to do myself. Some things I have to work with people on, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced that too. It poses a whole different approach to the art piece. So that was that one. The next one I had to run this through the town of Essex. So this was more of an honoring piece that I had to work with them. Now, the funny thing is when you're dealing with townships, they have specific guidelines. They didn't particularly, they wanted their murals to go on to sheets that were applied to the building. Well, that kind of is interesting because it kind of takes away the idea of it being a mural. Now it's on sheets attached to a building. So it's almost like represented like a painting in my mind. So I kind of had to fight them to get this whole thing back, because I think people tend to think that a mural needs to last forever, but it's just meant to go outside, be enjoyed for the time that it lives. And then you paint a new one. And that's one of the beautiful things I found out along the way is it's okay, let nature do its thing, enjoy it while it lasts, and then get moving on a new one. And that's what I learned through all these years, because I've been fortunate enough to be around I've been around some of the biggest muralists in the world. And that's what they do. They paint, it falls apart, they do a new one. And it's all about community. And this particular one right here, what I was gonna say, but this was from Drulard. So Drulard put together this amazing event. We were lucky enough to be able to paint live. So this is one of my live pieces I painted without any kind of pre-thought. I just painted this one. There was a lot of celebrating, a lot of working with the community. I got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to move. This is another one I did for one of my clients. This was for a restaurant. It was El Guaco in Tecumseh. It was a lot of fun to do. This was a crazy mural to work on, back to techniques, extremely fine details I had to continually work on. I was on a ladder for 7 to 8 hours a day for weeks on end painting this one with a fine little tip. And I'm sure you know how crazy that can get. Here's some more detailed versions of it. So again, outside, fine detail. Sometimes the stuff is freehand, sometimes the stuff's projected, sometimes you grid it out. Because again, there's all kinds of different techniques of it that you have to go through. This I was lucky enough to work with Christy Lister on. This was for the town of LaSalle. A lot of photorealism. It was very interesting working with Christy because she's such a talented artist, but she hadn't, worked with the cans very much. And then all of a sudden here she was working away and she just smashed this out with me and we had a lot of fun doing it. But again, we had to represent the town. More client work. Again, more client work. This is a place, El Diablo out in Kingsville. A lot of confined space. It's very hard to deal with. Working with the community. So I'm going through these quick. Again, community murals, more clients. I just wanted to get to the last one, which is kind of important. This is Koi Sushi. Again, everything's all over the place, different techniques, different approaches, painting on horrible surfaces, amazing. I love doing it. It's a lot of challenge. And then this one was a crazy one. I just finished this. This is out in Amherstburg on the River Bookshop. So client asked for something unique, colorful, and fun, and this is what we did. But challenges like you've never seen before, especially when you're dealing with texture. But I appreciate everybody listening. And again, we'll catch up in the questions and answers there. So sorry for babbling.
All right, perfect, David. Thank you. That was exactly 6 minutes, so good job there. All right, so next we move on to Jeff. We just need you to unmute yourself, Jeff.
No, Jeff.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All righty. Okay, my name is Jeff Deneby. I actually wasn't supposed to be an artist. I went to school for heating and cooling, which lasted 3 days. And I came home and told my dad, yeah, I'm going to be an artist. And he was like, what are you talking about? You don't even do art. And I said, I know, but I'm going to be an artist. So I took 2 years off school. And in that 2 years, I started a clothing company. And which ended up getting, and I was in like the music scene, especially over in Detroit. And I started sponsoring bands with this clothing and they were wearing it and traveling the world. And then people started buying it. And this is like early, it's like 2000. So like when that wasn't really a thing on the internet. So I had orders from, Australia and France and all over the place. I had like a store in Singapore selling it, in the UK. And all that happened. Then I started like touring with the bands on the Warped Tour, and there was shirts on MTV and yada, yada, yada. So I decided, hey, I should probably go to school to learn how to actually do this. So I went to school for graphic design, ended up doing that. After that, I moved to Vancouver. I started Haunted Zoo, which is what we're kind of talking about right now. So it's like a very branded art brand. Everything looks the same. And from there, yeah, I got asked to, well, before that, actually, I got asked to do a snowboard design for TELUS up in Whistler. And I ended up, out of like 100 artists, they picked 5, and I was one of those 5. And then I won second place, which was $0, but first place was $5,000. But I knew at that time that like thousands of people have voted for these snowboards and seen the bee character. So then I was like, okay, this is Haunted Zoo. It just transpired from my first company called Fathom Clothing, changed into Haunted Zoo, and that's what I'm currently doing now with the art style and the branding of it. But yeah, in Vancouver, I got there as a nobody basically, and was asking around, hey, where does this kind of art exist? Now everybody's like, I don't know. So I went to all the sneaker shops. So I thought that was the cool kids, and I kind of kept going and kept working through it. And eventually I kind of found my little tribe of artists that were kind of like-minded in that skate, snow, punk rock kind of world. And we put on our own shows and our own galleries. And then, like I said, I get noticed in like Whistler and the TELUS Ski and Snowboard Festival, and then becoming a featured artist there. And by doing that, you were able to like kind of live paint in front of a bunch of people because it's a 10-day festival. So for a few days, you'll paint in front of a bunch of people, and There's a bunch of prizes, like there's prizes for like a photography contest and a 72-hour film festival, and I was lucky enough to be a featured artist for the art portion of it, which at the time was called State of the Arts. And then we got to collaborate with like Volcom and Tom Shoes and Land Yacht skateboards and all that fun stuff. And I ended up moving back to Windsor because I started a hot sauce company, and that kind of started taking off. So I moved back to Windsor to do that. It's called Papa D's, and I kind of put art. But at that time, I came home, bought a house, met a girl, married girl, had a baby, renovated house. So like now I'm actually just in the last year I've started to get back into Haunted Zoo because I have a 2.5-year-old that reads a lot of books and watches cartoons, and so it's kind of re-inspired me to get back into it. So that's where we are today, basically. But yeah, I'll pop on my websites here, share the screen. I'll just show you a quick little tour. Where do we go here? Share screen. Is that how you do it? Okay. So here's a couple murals here. This is on Drillard as well. Same thing that Dave was talking about, the Dropped on Drillard Festival that happens. And these services are tricky, as mentioned. I touched them. Oh, one sec. Yeah, then you got this one here. I mean, you can go on the website as well. It's hauntedzoo.com. You can check them out later. Yeah, this one's like the most recent one. It was like 96 feet by 16 feet. It's behind the Walkerville Optical and Splice Digital. This wall actually dictated the whole painting. It wasn't even supposed to be this, but this big pixelated wall turned into a Haunted Zoo Mario Brothers kind of collaboration, basically. And then yeah, just like as you see, the style's all the same. It's very branded. So yeah, this goes back to, I mean, I don't know how much time I got a minute left. I'll go quick, but yeah, this goes back years and years and years. Yeah, you can kind of feel free. But for the last little bit here, I just want to talk about murals in general. I want to thank I mean, a lot of our friends here, Dan. He actually did a lot for this city when it comes to murals, getting it in the public eye and whatnot. And also how important it is. Like there's certain places in and around the world, in the States, the ones that I'm going to talk about, in Wynwood in Miami, that used to be a spot where it was just like a desolate factory area. They started to do murals there about 10, 15 years ago, and now it's like it's transitioned so far that now these artists and galleries can't even afford to be there because it's like the new hotspot. So it just shows what art can do, whereas at one point it was looked at as like defacing and ruining the community, when in reality it actually blooms the community. So if Windsor could kind of catch a note and let's get it going and stop opposing these things. So we're doing pretty good so far, but we could do a lot better. So I think my time's up. My timer went off here, but I'll stop sharing.
Yeah,
okay.
you're once again exactly at time there. So thank you,
Beautiful.
Jeff. Excellent.
No
and
problem.
now for our final presenter, Christy.
Guys, I'm like over-prepared. I'm always over-prepared. So I'm just going to share my screen because I did a PowerPoint presentation, teacher life, just so I could share some of my art while I was talking. So let's do that. Might take a second. Hit that. And is it going to go? There we go. Okay, so hi, my name is Christy Litster, and I specialize in visionary art that is dedicated to exploring and portraying spiritual or mystical themes. And even though I tend toward more abstract art, I always aim to tell a story with my work. So back in 2016, I had a truly transformational experience when I was diagnosed with cancer. Prior to this, I was super active in the local arts community. I volunteered much of my time hosting free arts events for other artists throughout Windsor. And I rarely ever took a commission for work sold, as it was my passion to give artists a platform to share their work, regardless of their experience. And because of this work, I was honored to receive the 2020 City of Windsor Mayor's Arts Award for Individual Artists last year. When I went through diagnosis and treatment, my life literally stopped. Prior to this, I had always been a really busy person. And now that I was unable to move at the same pace I had before, I knew it was time to make some deep decisions on how I was going to proceed in my art life. There were some huge goals I had yet to accomplish prior to my illness. So I made a promise to myself that if I had the chance, I would pursue those goals as soon as I was physically able to. And it wasn't long after treatment, only a couple months, in fact, that I was presented with my first opportunity to fulfill one of these goals. It was 2017, and the city of Windsor was celebrating its 125th birthday. In conjunction with this, an art call was put out from the city of Windsor. This call was open to local artists to create a mural on the transformer casing wall in the parking lot of the Art Gallery of Windsor. And at this time, I had never really worked on that scale before. I knew I wanted to create something that celebrated our local heritage, so I spent quite a lot of time researching. However, I knew I couldn't just tell an interesting story. I had to make the mural visually stimulating. I decided to address this work like I do most of my paintings by taking a sort of mixed media approach. I hadn't had any previous experience with spray paint, which is the medium typically used in outdoor murals. And I definitely did not want to jump into an entirely new medium. So I decided to stick with my skill set. The mock-up for this application, as seen here, for this project included a sort of jigsaw puzzle of illustrations and paintings that were to be installed as a grouping on the wall. The 1/4-inch thick plexiglass panels featured illustrated portraits printed and mounted on the front of the plexiglass in clear vinyl, with the color added in acrylic paint and sealed on the back. So here are two of the finished examples of the 24-inch discs depicting Marianne Shadd and Oscar Fleming, who was Windsor's first mayor. Here are 3 digitally illustrated panels that were printed in vinyl and mounted on aluminum substrate panels, including a scene from the sculpture park, the first ever minivan, and the F4 tornado of 1947. The mural was created and installed and officially unveiled in the summer of 2017, as you can see here. So one of them is facing east, the other one's facing west. And there's also a central timeline that places each of the people and events in order in the city of Windsor's history. So in addition to this, I created a website that could be found at windsorsnapshots.com. Here you'll find full information on each panel under the artwork section, as well as a full range of downloads that you can print and color at home in the art download section. So this experience of creating large-scale installation definitely got me excited to continue to not only work big, but uniquely. Not long after this, I was commissioned to do over 10 murals at Factory House Restaurant, as seen here and here. I also had the occasion to work on a few more custom pieces throughout the Windsor-Essex County. This one is at Colchester Beach. However, it was in the summer of 2018, I did finally have a chance to learn the art of spray painting by my friend artist David Creed. We received a grant from the town of LaSalle to create a mural at the Riverdance Community Center, as seen here, as you saw earlier. And here's me going at it with a spray can. And similarly to some of his previous work in my Windsor Snapshots mural, we decided to approach the mural by telling the story of LaSalle. And it was awesome, and I loved working huge. And I also really love spray paint. So here's Dave and I at the official unveiling of the mural. And I learned a ton through this experience and from Dave, so thanks Dave for teaching me the art of spray painting. And since then, I've kind of refocused on a smaller scale art, back to fine art and custom illustrations. I hope to do a few more murals, but unfortunately due to the pandemic, that was kind of put on hold for now. So I've been super grateful to be able to continue my own work and fine paintings. You saw some of them earlier, and commission work that I've done over the past year. And if you want to check out any more of my work, it's at christylitster.com. And I just want to thank Art Gallery Windsor for giving me this opportunity to speak a little bit about my experience and mural work over the last few years. Thanks.
Thank you, Christy. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for participating. All of you had excellent presentations. So now this is the opportunity for the audience to ask any questions they may have. They might ask you to share more art on screen. I know my question will be, Briana, can you show us more of your art from Fine Art America? Just a couple things though, quickly first. So not everyone has to, I know that not everyone's comfortable with, speaking out loud necessarily. So if you want to ask questions, you can type them into the chat and I'll read them for you to relay them to the artists, even though the chat is visible to everyone. So whatever you feel most comfortable with. And also, I forgot to introduce myself. How rude of me. I'm Michaela. I'm the Digital Initiatives Coordinator at the Art Gallery of Windsor. So I'm the moderator for tonight. And yeah, so let's just keep the questions really respectful and let's get going.
I just have some input for a second. Why don't the artists all in the chat put their whatever contact stuff they want, whether it's Instagram or their websites or whatever. That might be good.
That's an excellent idea. Thank you, Jeff.
No problem. No problem.
So that you can go and creep everyone later. It's perfect. Also, I am going to be putting a survey about our digital programming, just like a quick 2-minute thing to fill out later on. I'll email it to everyone who participated as well, but just, to get some feedback on our digital programming in the time of the pandemic, how we're doing with that. So that is there accessible for you as well. But yeah, sorry, without further ado, so excellent. Thank you, Jeff, once again for
No problem.
asking everyone to do that. All right. Yes, Kathy.
I wondered how the various artists prepared a brick wall for doing the mural.
All right, who wants to answer that one first?
Do you want me to?
Go ahead.
I've wrecked enough knuckles on those walls. Yeah, a lot of it, as anyone knows, when you're going at a wall that's textured, you really got to look at how sound it is. So a lot of it comes down to pressure washing, scraping, repairing. Sometimes there's literally a day's or two's worth of work just to go into the underlay preparation. Then it's primed, then we're ready to go. So it's a lot of just assessing how long the wall is going to last too, because sometimes a lot of these substrates are just in such a bad shape that you can't make a promise the mural is going to last so long. So hope that answers your question on that.
Thank you. Does anyone have any of the other muralists have anything to elaborate on there, or did David pretty much cover the whole thing there?
I have a question about that. What is the average life expectancy for a mural like painted on the surface?
Anyone else? I can keep answering.
Well, you were the one who said, yeah.
Yeah, you know, a lot of it comes down to your paint. So again, you prepare the substrate. You can. I've seen the mural that I originally showed firsthand there. Like I said, I did that back in, what was the date on that one again? It was 2006, and it's still fine. But a lot of the times that's facing north. So the sun will destroy a lot of the hot colors. You can probably get about 8 to 10 years out of one. If it's coated, definitely a lot longer. But again, it really depends on the substrate, but then the coating. If you can coat a painting, just like a car, it's going to last that long. So you're not going to get 20, 30 years. Indoor, lifetime. So.
All right. Well, that's good to know that some of them can last forever.
Yeah, keep it out of the sun. Just like our skin, keep it out of the sun and it'll last forever.
Don't tell me what to do.
You tan well, I don't.
I know, I'm not about that.
I don't like painting in the sun. It's the most uncomfortable thing. I'm scared, like I'm just burning. It feels like microwaves. So again, it does help. You know, Jeff likes the sun. I don't.
I'm like a baked potato.
Yeah.
All right, we have a question in the chat here. So Sophie says, really great work, everyone. I was wondering if the artists could share some of their favorite mural spots, either in Windsor or elsewhere.
I mean, right in Eastern Market in Detroit, over the last couple of years, they've started murals in the market with artists all over the world coming, and they've really transformed that area. Similar to what I was saying about the Wynwood Walls in Miami. Yeah. Those two spots are kind of hot spots, but there are more. There's one in Baltimore, and I mean, if you guys know of any more, shout them.
Yeah, Montreal's got some great spots. Downtown Toronto, fantastic. The good thing is they're spreading, and just like even in Windsor, we have Maiden Lane, which is just blowing up, and then obviously all the way out in Walkerville, Drouillard. There's a lot of, how many are in Drouillard? I think there's got to be at least 15 to 20 murals, like new ones. Then there's all the old ones too. So Kingsville's got a number of them, and it just keeps escalating, thankfully.
Well, and then just to tap on that, I don't think a lot of people know, but in Maiden Lane there's a lot of like world-class muralists that you might think like, oh, that's Steve from next door. And it's like, no, that guy's from Australia, that guy's from England, that guy, like, so people have traveled here to do it. So we're lucky to have some of the bigger names in murals to come here and visit, you know?
Very much.
And I know some of our local muralists have also traveled to other countries as well to do murals. Does that apply to any of the 5 of you, or you've gone out of country to do a mural that you've been commissioned for? No?
Not yet.
Well, only like back what he said about Wynwood, I spent about 4 years there, and I actually never painted anything, but you definitely have enough paint on you when you leave, just an overspray that you feel like you did. But no, it's quite the scene when you get to witness a mural being painted, and not I should say murals by the hundreds. It's mind-boggling. So.
Yeah, if you want to think of it as I mean, it's even bigger now, but if you want to think of like, what if there was murals on almost every building getting painted from like Olette to, well, I don't know, 10 blocks each way, you know, if not bigger.
To Walkerville.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a question. I'm going to ask Briana to share her work with us on
Please,
through the screen share if she can, since she
Please.
didn't get the opportunity before, technical difficulties, internet lags, and all that good stuff. But Briana, you're still muted. There we go.
Hi, it's hard for me to figure this out, you guys. I'm so sorry, but I'm not used to this Zoom. I have 2 things I could show you, but I don't know how to do it, so I have to go to share screen.
Yep.
I'll be right there. 1 sec.
Okay. What do I press there?
So share screen and then, okay, there you go.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we could see part of it. Maybe you can drag the window over a little bit. Oh, actually, no, click on it. On the image that you're trying to show.
Yeah. Right here.
Can you click on the image itself, like on the file down there? Double click on it and see what happens.
Here, can you see it now? Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it. It's just small. Okay, you've got an interesting scroll set up there.
I do have murals I could show you. I did this one at the 29 Park on Olette Street called Growth, and it's with Art Attack and the Windsor Business Association. And I did that down on Olette. Can you see it? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, guys. Here's another one I did at the Walkerville Tavern. That's down in Old Walkerville. I don't know if you can see that. Here's another one I did at Vito's Pizzeria in Old Walkerville as well. It was really quite interesting working in the back patio. Here's one I did on Polisher in Maiden Lane. Here's another one I did at Higher Limits downtown on Olette. It was an indoor mural. Whoops. Well, here's another one I did at the Blackburn radio station. This was really great. It was a tribute to Rosalie Tremblay. And it was it was a big one. It was actually 70 by 50 feet. It was one of the biggest ones I've done. Very challenging, very time consuming, very hot. It was baking out there most days on my back. I had a really good tan for the most part, but the people were really great. It was a great show up, and I really appreciated the wall. I put a lot into it. Here's another one at Dominion House. That's Prince that you're looking at. Here's the other one with Aretha Franklin and Gord Downey from the Tragically Hip. Here I am sitting here in front of the Dominion House. Here's a nice mural box that I did in LaSalle. And here's another one I did on L'Esperance. It's at Carrots and Dates. Are you guys still there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm just double checking. Okay, here's another one called Great Things Are Just Around the Corner, through the BIA from Ottawa Street. There's one of the trains that I did with Jerry, Jackie, and Paulette. I put their names in the trains. They're the 3 women that are from the heart on one of the stores on Olette. There we go. This is just progress shots. Here's another one I did at the Men United for God Men United for God Food Bank. And that's it for right now. I hope you guys enjoyed me sharing my artwork with you.
I certainly did, at least. I could speak for
Okay.
myself, but yeah, the colors are great. You have a very distinct style. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I think you can hit stop screen share and then the screen will go back to normal. If you can
Okay.
find your way back to Zoom. Okay, there we go.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate your patience. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a learning curve for everyone. All this
Yes,
Zoom
I don't know about this
ridiculousness.
stuff. Yeah, I'm just learning.
I used to talk to people face to face.
That's true.
I don't think I've spoken that fast in my life. I'm looking 6 minutes. How can we make this work?
Ooh, no. Oh,
This isn't normal. It used to being in front of people, but I mean, this is safe and fun. It's nice to be able to share each other's images. Like, that's one thing that's really cool, is that we get to do this in typical talks. It might have been a lot more difficult to do.
I mean, I haven't seen mouths in 2 years.
Your lipstick. I was really excited about that. I was like, hey, I can.
I showered.
Congratulations, David.
Quitter.
You know what's really nice is back to the community pieces. I think that's another way to get people to really find their passion for the muralists, is to involve the community and let them be excited about it. A lot of the murals I didn't even show that I did were smaller, and I was fortunate enough to, one piece I had 300 people draw on it with me. And the excitement every year, that was at the Kingsville Folk Fest, one of the ones I've done. And I could see the kids' eyes light up. Everyone was excited of being a part of it. And at the end, I would do a big reveal as to what it was. But what was the nice part was the desire from that point on for more people. I want to learn to make art. Where can we have more of this? And that's one of the things that drives it. And that's what's so nice about these small festivals we have. And every one of you that's put something up in the community, it's huge. Like the impact, as we know, just like Jeff spoke about, Wynwood I know it keeps saying that, but that place started out with 2 or 3 paintings on the wall, and now it's world renowned. And the cool thing is we have those artists in this area that are making that happen. It takes a little longer, but it's awesome that you're all a part of that, because it's just going to keep growing. And getting the youth involved is probably one of the most important things too, and the support from the older people that whine about them.
I'd like to just add that my background is definitely more in fine art and doing that kind of side. So murals are like a little bit outside of my comfort zone. And I had talked probably with David for a good 2 years about doing that mural that we actually did together. And so I strongly suggest, if you're interested in doing murals, it's just like anything else. I mean, it's just a technique. It's learning how to go big. So, you just reach out to anyone who's done it before. If I know anything about artists is that we all do like to kind of share and help each other out. And one thing about Windsor, I find that the artists in Windsor, we are kind of like a little team, and we will work together. So, don't be afraid to reach out and just ask for some advice. Because I know that I started with no experience with spray paint. I was super nervous about it, and I kind of tried everything else besides it. And we had such a blast when we did that huge mural. And David only got upset once, and there's one time. It was one time when he put, do you remember you put like there was like a border and we were painting and he's like way up like 15 feet in the air and realized that he was doing it upside down. And he's like, it was
well, you know, and you're on the edge of a ladder, like it's a workout too. Don't forget, it's a workout. Any of you that have painted know it's a workout.
Hard.
And you're reaching and your fingers, you end up with this ET finger. It's like I can press a mouse button, but anyways, you develop these muscles like no one else has.
Yeah.
And Briana, I know all that. Jeff, Christy, everyone knows like that. And it's technique, but it's a beautiful thing. Like when you start to really dig into this thing, you really, you know what's funny? Like our ancestors, all those cave paintings, how did they, you know how they did it? They sprayed it. And I always thought, you know, it's such a primitive thing to spray. So I feel like I'm part of that tribe. Yeah.
But don't feel like you have to only use spray paint. I'm just saying, because I remember.
No, you're right. You're right.
I did that huge one.
Like, hey, you're never going to use a paintbrush again after this. And I'm like, still like to paint with a paintbrush. So you can paint big murals with regular paint. Acrylic paint actually works awesome outside. If you have a good panel to work on, it's not easy on a brick wall. But like I said before on my my talk, that I mean, go mixed media, try everything. And if it doesn't last forever, who cares? You know what I mean? It's all about making it and people like enjoying it while it does last. So there's a lot of ways to make great big art. So yeah.
That mural on the Walkerville Optical, like the 96 by 16, that was all brush.
Oh, really?
I thought I'm like, oh, it'll be fun to do it all in brush. It wasn't. I mean, it was fun, but it took like way longer. But I wanted to touch on something that Dave was saying about like the community and whatnot. So I got asked to do this wall. One of them that I showed there. I got asked to do this wall, the one with the plants. And it wasn't in the most desirable location. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't facing a major street or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll do it. It'll be some practice and it'll be all good. But what I didn't realize was that it was actually facing a schoolyard. My art's perfect for young kids, and it was Bagley School. And I had kids like coming out at recess. This is when kids went to school. It was I think it was in September-ish. Yeah. And they'd come out screaming and hollering and giving me thumbs ups and like all this. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I finished it. And a couple of days later, a teacher from there that like knew me through two other people kind of thing sent me a message that he was teaching the class art, and they went outside to the mural and they were like copying or like whatever, like they're doing their rendition of this mural. And then they had like a week to do it, and they came back with like finished products, and he sent them to me. I posted them a few posts ago on Instagram. But like that was super heartwarming to me to be like, oh my God, this thing that I thought was like in the worst spot ever actually made the biggest impact. And it is in a bit of like a lower, lower money area and stuff like that. So like they might not have that experience to have these things, and all of a sudden it like totally immersed their life, and you could see it from their classrooms. And so it made me like super happy to even do that. So basically like you don't know what your art's going to do to somebody, or what, you know, if you might think it doesn't matter, or it's in a weird spot or whatever it is, but then all of a sudden something like that comes up, and now it's the most important piece of art that I've ever done.
Yep.
I kind of want to chime in on that note, actually, because I think I'm more community arts oriented a bunch, but that's kind of the whole point, right? Like that's what's the most important. And I think the biggest contribution that Windsor has had is inspiring youth, or inspiring anyone. It doesn't even have to be youth, like someone to just take the plunge and become an artist or give it a chance. And I think that's what public art has really done, especially in this community. And I think that we should continue to do so. But you see it all over Canada, all over the United States, and different countries and things like that. Especially in Calgary, actually, they do the Bump Mural project every summer, and it's just this huge mural festival, similar to Detroit. But anyone can apply, and they take on artist assistants. So people who may not know how to do a mural can go there and apply to be part of that project. Even if you're not ready to take on a project like that, you get to be there and you get to experience it. And I think that could be the next steps, hopefully, for Windsor to inspire those young minds. So those kids that have seen your mural, and maybe they're the next generation that's going to be doing what you guys are doing, what we're trying to do, what everyone else is trying to do. So yeah, that's really great. I love that story.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions to anyone. I'm on a bit of an agenda here for the art gallery in Leamington, and working on a mural project. So I'm kind of getting some research done here. But I'm wondering is what's the pros and cons versus working on a mural and a panel? And what are some of the commission dollar amounts or figures that would attract an artist?
That depends on the artist.
Yeah.
That does.
And then also both questions I guess depend on the artist.
Yeah. It depends. I mean, working on a panel obviously is going to be a lot easier for the artist in general. You can work anywhere. You can work, you have studio space, you can work at home. You don't have to work in the blazing sun. But I mean, there is, there's always that debate between whether it's just better to put it right on the wall. And I think a lot of people, it's kind of like almost like getting a tattoo. If you're going to go for it, you kind of just go for it on the wall. So I've done both. I've kind of, like I said before, done the gambit of both. But when it comes to the monetary, it really depends on the artist, whether they're emerging, whether they've been, or well-seasoned artists, just their experience level. So that's a difficult one to answer. A lot of artists charge by the square foot as well. So I think as you have a few murals or large projects, I kind of work on projects more than just the mural. So I'll like create panels and things like that more myself. Again, work either by, if it's like a smaller, I work by square inch. Big ones is by the square foot. And it just depends on how long you've been doing it and the price of paint. So yeah.
Yep. And also, Chad, one of the things is with the panels is it's just another cost.
Oh yeah.
To throw in, and then also with the preparation, because when I worked with the city of Windsor, those were all done on panels. Everything was done on dye bond. A lot of preparation went into it. There is a difference, and that's where I was actually scratching my head. I didn't know if I should bring it up, but it's like the difference between a mural versus a painting, and that's where it becomes interesting. It's like, well, now you're just creating a painting and hanging it on a wall that look like a mural, whereas a mural is typically on the surface of whatever it is. So there's an argument on both sides as to what's what. But the good thing about the panels, they can be removed and applied whenever, whereas the mural is it's there, it's on, as you guys know. Once it's up, it's up.
That kind of answers the question a lot. See, we have a good chunk of money that's been approved by for the budget this year. So we have 3 walls that we've identified. So we're going to be putting on a call to artists soon. The municipality is really aiming for panels for the I guess licensing, working in heights, scaffolding, insurance, the removability of it, Public Works can install it, all those kind of logistics. But yeah, it takes away from the mural effect. Yeah. Also, the 3 walls are very different. Size, also some obstacles to paint around or attach murals around, things like that. So I kind of just want to hear from you guys, the artists who are doing this work, what you think is best. And I think you guys have done a great job tonight. It's been really insightful. Me, I got a fine arts background, of course, but I've never actually really painted too many murals. They've been indoors and it's been, eons ago. So this has been really helpful, give me a lot to, digest. And I'm hoping that you all submit to, when the call goes out in Leamington for our murals, give us some mock-up and hopefully see your art in Leamington.
Hey, Chad, if you want to talk further about numbers and stuff with the actual panel stuff, I can talk to you a little bit more about that after, just because that's what I've been doing for a very long time.
Yeah, I like that, Dave. I actually still got to talk to you about an exhibit too that we were supposed to do up last year. So yeah,
Typical artist never gets to it.
That's right. COVID hit, and everything got upside down and backwards. So
my ADD hit.
Also, just like another little tidbit, I guess you'd say about that. There's just a different look, and like if you're doing actual panels and it's, I mean, a municipality, then I'm sure it's gonna look good, like the one that Dave showed that they have in the alley. But there is a difference, and I've done them, and I always like to cover the whole wall. Like it has a way bigger impact. Like if you have a 20 foot by 20 foot wall, cover the whole thing instead of doing a 5 by 5 on it. It just looks. I mean, it's fine, but it just looks way more complete as a full piece.
Yeah, I agree too. And but sometimes we're dictated by the people.
Yeah.
You could maybe you could give them the option of doing both. You do 2 panel pieces and then one on the wall, just so they can experience it. And that's kind of a way to work with them. Give them what they want, but also give the artist what they want too. Maybe there's an option.
My thought is to try to keep the call open and see what artists bring us. So let's see if they want to propose something on a panel. They want to propose a full mural, maybe something that's a little bit of relief with some 3D aspects, and just kind of keep more open and just see what the artists are comfortable working on material wise, and then what material worked best with the theme, and then kind of get a jury together, and then pick what might work best for each space, because each space is unique in itself too.
Yeah,
I
think you can do a lot with panels. Like I don't want to make it seem by all of us talking about it like panels are not a good idea. I think it really depends on the artist. Like I've worked a lot on panels, and one of the ways that I kind of use the panels was kind of doing that sort of 3D relief effect. So I know in the future, like I'd like going both ways. So I think you could do some really cool stuff with panels, especially if you use them in sort of a unique way. So I think that it could, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to use panels on a wall.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
No, it's not.
That's a good opinion.
Well, it's mobile. You could probably take it and bring it somewhere else too as well.
Yes.
The thing is that if they want it to last, for example, I know that with the Art Gallery of Windsor, one that I did outside there, that's all on different types of panels. I worked on plexiglass. And so those are, if they needed to be, one of them got damaged really bad. Somebody had ripped a bit off, and they actually just replaced the panel a few weeks ago. And it was nice because it was easy to fix. It wasn't like going and trying to spray in part that got damaged and fix a damaged piece. Because when, anytime you get your art kind of vandalized over, it definitely, it's a pain in the butt to fix.
Oh.
So it was nice to be able to
Vandalism is definitely
because it was
issue.
on
Actually,
substrate.
you know what? Vandalism, there's a good point. But David Durketz did that beautiful piece. Was it last year, the year before, and someone came along and vandalized it? And their only precaution with that would have actually been a product I think it's called Vandal Guard.
Yeah.
And that's another product that could go on after, unless it's high up, of course. And I mean, you always deal with that possibility with a mural. And
when it's outside.
I've been fortunate, around Windsor, they don't get damaged too much, thankfully. But it's happened. So, and I'm sure we're all worried. We put all this work, and then somebody. Actually, Briana, you've had something damaged too, right?
I had somebody do it to me not too long after I created the piece. It was called Growth, and it was downtown on Olette. And
That's
somebody
the one.
decided to take a black Montana or whatever they're using, spray paint, and just did swirls all the way through it.
Yeah.
And there was a heavy detail in that work.
Yeah.
And it took some time to do it, and it really sucked because once you give it to everybody, and it's left with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with the city.
Yeah.
And when somebody does that, it's out of your hands. There's nothing else you can do about it, and it really hurts. It crushes your spirit, makes you very sad and upset, and you're like, well, what's wrong? Why'd somebody do this? And well, clearly they could be jealous, whatever.
But
there's some jerks out there.
You try to take it with a grain of salt, but you're somewhere deep inside you're hurt, and you're like, come on, guys, you've got to be kidding me. Like, somebody goes out there and they put their all into something, and then somebody decides to come by and do something like that. It kind of shows you that they have no character, no heart. You know, they're heartless. But you just keep on going. You know, that's all you can do when somebody does that.
Or
you know, keep going.
Fix it. That's
you know
sad.
what I mean?
Keep
I
making
wanted
great
to
art.
fix it, but then you're like, well,
Yeah.
you're like, what kind of paint did I use? What colors did I use? Like, you had to think about all this stuff. Like, how can I repair this or fix this? Or is it worth doing it? Because what if they go over it again? You know what I mean? It's like it's a toss up. Really, it's a toss up whenever something like that happens. But, yeah.
Thankfully, it's a little less likely to happen around, especially in Leamington. In Leamington, it's, you know, and it's all. I mean, you're downtown Windsor, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mine was downtown Windsor too.
Yeah, there you go. You get damage.
Oh, you had something happen too, eh?
Yeah, they broke one of the panels. They just snapped it.
Yeah.
How they did that, I don't know. They must have been really strong at the time. So luckily it got fixed, and it's back to normal now. But
well, I mean, that's the thing, eh? It's that's why I think sometimes the townships, they take so much into like that. It's a value. They spent the money. They want to make sure that it's like, again, when I painted that piece for the Spitfires, they were really reluctant to make that happen because it wasn't on panels, but it wouldn't have worked otherwise because they wanted it. So if something happened, they could remove it because they paid for it. But I think that's where that fine line with the murals comes in is should it be removable? And yes, sometimes maybe. It's always a struggle, Chad. And I think for everybody, we always have that kind of like, I want to paint the whole wall. Like Jeff said, I want to paint the whole wall. Briana, imagine painting panels on your Walkerville piece, how insane that would have been. So I think you want to paint the whole wall.
Man,
So,
I don't know about that.
I know it does.
When you want to go.
I mean, budget dictates everything too, Chad. It's all just like anything.
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to do something cool, I just thought of this when you were saying that. Even if, let's say, the wall is 20 by 20, and you only wanted a 10 foot by 10 foot installation on the wall, what if you allowed the artist to, I mean, if it was in budget, to continue the wall so that, I mean, you could remove it if you wanted to, but at the same point, it does look like one piece. Make it a little bit 3D kind of.
Sorry to cut in now, just like in the interest of keeping the conversation open to like multiple parties who have more conversations, I just, wanted to, like, thank you, Chad, for reaching out to the Muralists. So that's great. And I'm sure, you can be in contact with them for commissions or anything of the sort for this upcoming project. I wanted to ask though, since we are technically over our time now, does anyone else here have any more questions for our artists tonight?
I think we talk too much.
No. That's what it's about. It's about generating a good, productive discussion. So, but yeah, unfortunately, I do have to, since we're now 15 minutes over the end time, I do have to cut it off here. But once again, thank you everyone for attending. I know some people probably had to leave a bit early. That's why our conversation kind of, like the number of members declined as the night went on. But all the artists' information to, follow them on social media or their websites are within the chat still. So for anyone who wants to quickly grab that info before we end the conversation, now's your chance.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for participating. I didn't involve myself in the conversation, but I enjoyed the conversation very much.
Thank you, Conrad.
Thank you.
So Sophie says, thanks so much, everyone. It was great to hear from each muralist. I completely agree with Sophie. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories and your art, both equally fascinating for all of us to absorb tonight. Do the muralists have any questions or any final words they want to say before we log off?
Love you guys, man.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for participating. Just a reminder for those who are left over here to quickly fill out the survey. It'll only take a couple minutes. I'm going to email it, but the link is also in the chat. And Alexi says, oh, actually the chat's going too fast for me to even keep up with now. So yeah, thank you everyone once again for participating, whether you were an audience member or a muralist.
Thank you, Michaela, for reaching out.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
For having us.
We clearly need 2 hours.
Yeah. We can keep going.
We're just getting started.
Good,
Just
yeah.
been warm, and we're like, hey, let's go.
Maybe we'll do a part 2 in the future or something like that.
Amazing.
All right.
Yeah, Sophie even says we need part 2. The sequel.
Lightning strikes twice.
That's a great title, Jeff. Thank you. I'm going to steal that. I'll credit you with it, but I'm stealing it.
It's all good. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good
Thanks,
night,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a good sleep.
Right.
Good night.
Take
Thanks.
care.
Thank you.